This story takes place directly after Zombies 2 and is inspired by Gotta Find Where I Belong. Addison is still trying to figure out who she is. With those closest to her by her side, she knows she can. Welcome back, Villain Family. If you're new to our channel, please remember to subscribe and turn the notifications on so you won't miss out on any of our Zombies videos. Addison rolled over on her side, still half asleep. Ugh, what time is it? Turning her attention to the clock by her bedside, she squinted. Instead of focusing on the time, she could see the light that illuminated it going haywire. She took a strand of white hair between her fingers, except it wasn't white. It was glowing? Instantly, it stopped. Weird, she mumbled. Her mind began racing. Unable to sleep, she tread to the kitchen. She grabbed a coffee mug and pack of hot chocolate from the cabinet. What does it mean? Pouring the milk into her mug, she let out a sigh. She knew her hair meant something. Over the past few months, it had been driving her crazy, but she tried not to let it show. No one understood. Not her parents, not Bucky, not Bree, not even Zed. Granted, she hadn't attempted to tell any of them how much it was bothering her. Why should she? None of it was their concern. She stepped outdoors into the brisk air, taking a sip of her hot chocolate. She admired the way the streetlights brightened the quiet night of Seabrook. She took a seat on the top stair, letting the warmth of the mug heat her hands for a moment. My hair wasn't glowing. It was all a dream. It has to be. I'm not crazy. Her thoughts were broken as she saw someone walking down the sidewalk, a rare occurrence at such an early hour. She squinted in hopes that she was hallucinating. Although she wouldn't have been taken entirely by surprise if it were real, bizarre things appeared to be happening to her. The figure got closer, increasing her heart rate. Should I run? Closer, closer. Whoever this was, there was no doubt they were approaching her. She began to get up to go inside when the faint porch light above her revealed that the figure's hair was green. "Zed!" she cried, placing her hand over her heart. Her breathing slowed. "What are you doing here? Shouldn't you be in bed?" The zombie smirked. "Couldn't sleep. Figured I needed to walk past the house with a person who was keeping me awake. I didn't expect you to be up too." Addison's brows furrowed. "What do you mean?" He crouched beside her, letting out a hard sigh. He rubbed the back of his neck. "I still feel awful about stealing your moonstone." Giving him a small smile, she squeezed his hand. "Ah, Zed, I already told you I forgive you." "I know, but I can't help it. It's been bothering me." "No worries." Her voice was monotone. "We're good." He peered into her eyes. No matter how she tried to deny it, sadness was present in them. He cleared his throat, bracing himself for how he wanted to approach this conversation. The last thing he wanted to do was pressure her into talking. Still, he knew something was wrong. "Are you sure? I can't help feeling like you've been keeping something from me." Addison glanced down at the steps, not wanting to meet his gaze. "Please?" he begged. She took a deep breath and let it out slowly. "I don't know what's wrong exactly," she whispered. "All this freaky stuff keeps happening to me, so it makes me feel like a freak." Zed tilted his head, his eyes narrowing in concern. She was quiet for several more seconds, but he waited patiently for her to continue. "When I woke up, my clock was going cuckoo." His mouth opened in an attempt to speak. She held up her index finger to interrupt. "Before you say anything, no, it's not a cuckoo clock." He managed a small smile. "But the main thing is my hair. I caught a glimpse of it after I looked at the clock, and I swear it was glowing. Only for a second. I've always known it means something, but it's been bothering me more lately." She looked up, meeting the soft gaze of his deep brown eyes. "I don't want to be a freak anymore," she confessed. "I just want to be part of something. I thought when I met the werewolves, I finally had my chance. I could be a member of the pack. We could be a family." She bit her bottom lip, remembering the way her heart had shattered once the moonstone was placed around her neck. She had been so ready. Ready to be a leader. Ready to find her destiny. Ready to no longer feel like an outcast. Her eyes welled with tears. "But I don't belong with them either," she mumbled. "I don't belong with anyone." Zed sat there in silence for a moment, stunned by her words. No wonder she was trying to get so close to Wyatt. All I could think about was being a jealous jerk instead of how she was feeling. He took her hand. I think you're forgetting something. Her forehead wrinkled in confusion. He reached into his pocket, pulling out a piece of paper engulfed in Scotch tape. Her forehead crinkled even more as he handed it to her. She unfolded the delicate paper. The lamination of the tape made it harder to read, but if she squinted hard enough, it was legible. She began to read out loud, her voice shaky as she recognized the handwriting. Zed, always know this. We belong together. Love, Addison. He lifted her chin and began caressing her cheek with his thumb. I guess that means you belong with me, he murmured, wiping a tear that had just fallen from her eyes. You kept this? Even after the Aces shredded it? Of course I did. It took a second for me to put it together, but once I was able to, it helped me get through our fight. I love you. Look, whatever you are, we'll figure it out together, I promise. But for right now, you're Addison. My Addison. Is that enough? She gave a small nod and encircled his neck, connecting his lips to hers. Why didn't I tell him sooner? Intertwining her arm in his, she rested her head on his shoulder. More than enough, and I love you too. Thank you. I might not know what I am, but Zed's right. I know who I am. I'm Addison Wells. I'm a high school student who loves my family, friends, cheer. She glanced up at him, her lips curving into the first genuine smile she'd had that night. And zombies. Zed smiled back, wrapping his arm around her waist and pulling her closer. They sat there in comfortable silence, enjoying the peace of the late morning. So peaceful, in fact, they failed to notice the gold gleam from 3 sets of eyes watching them in the bushes across the street. They are so cute, Winter squealed. Suddenly, she felt a sharp jab into her right side. Ouch! Shh! Willa hissed. They'll hear you. Winter frowned, rubbing her abdomen. No, they won't. They can't hear the way werewolves do. Oops, I forgot, Willa agreed sheepishly. Sorry. She picked a leaf off of the bush and coiled a dark ringlet of hair around her finger, deep in thought. Man, I had no idea Addie felt that way. She really wanted to be a part of our group. I knew she wasn't one of us. I could feel it. But that apparently didn't make it any easier for her. Wyatt could see the wheels turning in the alpha's head. What are you thinking about? I feel bad, that's all. Addison was so hopeful she was one of us. Your point? She shrugged. Maybe we should try and help her figure it out. How? I haven't pinpointed all the details, okay? All I know is that I had a good time at Prawn, and these people, well, maybe they aren't so bad. Wyatt nodded. He had known from day one he liked Addison. If Willa was changing her mind about the cheerleader, it must count for something. He wasn't sure what plan Willa would come up with to help the unique girl discover her identity, but he was certain of one thing. He would be along for the ride. I'm Lady Blah Blah, and as always, thanks for watching. And if you enjoyed this story, feel free to check out another one. And don't forget to put a like, subscribe, and share this video with your villain friends.